Hello, welcome. My name is Travis Thomas, and I am the NCCC chapter leader for New York, the Bronx, and Harlem as well. Thank you for joining us. It is 2023. Teal Tuesdays is what we're representing today, promoting HPV and cervical cancer awareness. I'm excited to be here. It's incredible. I have my sisters from NCCC, and we are here to just shed light on awareness, education, prevention, early detections. But we're mainly here to give our, to have a discussion about these different topics. We have the wonderful and the world-known Andrea Reyes, who is going to be here with us, educating us on HPV and cervical cancer screening. So let's begin. Don't move, don't get out your seat, don't rearrange anything, because if you leave your seat, you will miss something. And this is where you want to be at. I have to go around and have my team introduce themselves. Oh, I said my team. I'm sorry. My team. I have to go around and have NCCC chapter leaders introduce themselves. Thank you so much for the educational piece in the beginning. I appreciate it. So the first one that I will, hold on one second. You pass it back to me, Andrea? I need you to pass it back to me.
I will right now.
Thank you.
You have to bear with me because now I'm trying to find how to do that.
That's okay.
Oh, wait. I think I know.
Okay. Go to my name and you got it.
Make host. Got it. The same way I told you, and then here I am, I'm on the wrong dots, but got it. Your host.
That's okay. Thank you so much. Okay, so now let's meet all right, okay. Thank you. Now we're gonna meet the team. We have Fresno, California in the house. We have South Carolina. We have Queens, an Ohio chapter. We have the Florida chapter in the house as well. So let's go around real quick and have everybody do an introduction. And I'm going to go according to how I see you on my camera real quick. Okay. That is me. I know what I look like already. There you go. Beautiful. Go right ahead.
Hi. Thank you, Andrea, for that wonderful presentation. My name is Shay, and I am the chapter leader for South Carolina. And I am excited to be here. It's very important for us to get the word out. And this is our last Tuesday of Cervical Cancer Month. So thank you.
Okay. We got one more Tuesday though, love. You ain't over yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Almost the last Tuesday. You got one more left.
That's all right. One more to go, right? All right. Excellent. Thank you. Next.
So I'm the South Florida chapter leader for the NCCC. My name is Vislaine, and I couldn't be more excited to be here with you guys. This is awesome. This is the best way to get it out there. We need to talk about it, and we're just going to get other people talking about it, and that's the goal.
Thank you. And
hi, everyone. I'm really happy to see you guys. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Alyssa Hall, and I am the chapter leader of Queens, New York, and Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm really happy to learn. I'm actually learning a few things from Andrea. I didn't know that there was an HPV check for men. And I'm gonna share that. And yeah, I'm so thankful to be a part of this.
excellent. Thank you, ladies. Okay, so so even if you don't see my face, I'm here. Okay, all right. So we have a couple of questions that we're going to talk about real quick. Very, briefly, I'll throw the question out there. You let me know what comes to mind within your cancer journey, except for one of us. Alicia, I said your name right? I did? I can't hear you, love.
Alyssa, it's Alyssa.
Alyssa, okay. Alyssa, you're representing for who? You guys tell us who you're representing for.
I'm representing for my grandmother. We lost her. It'll be 6 years in April. Yeah, she passed, and that's why I'm here, because she lived she lived a very healthy life to what I knew. And then she was the first person that we knew that had cancer, and I knew nothing about cervical cancer. So that's why I kind of dived into it. And then I found you. I found, the NCCC team, and I've been learning and growing and teaching ever since.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so the first question is cervical cancer. Now, when I spotlight you, keep your eyes on it, because we're going to do this a little different. And then you answer the question. Okay, let's go that way. All right. Okay, cervical cancer screening. What comes to mind?
Cervical cancer screening is so important, especially since I did not get screened. This was back in 1999, and things just wasn't the same. So I try hard to make sure that I get it out there to get checked and get screened. So that's what comes to mind.
Excellent. How about for you?
It is very important not to skip out on screening, especially if you feel like you have symptoms and you can feel that something's not right. Just don't put it off.
Excellent. Yep. Okay. And HPV. Did you have any knowledge of HPV?
The only thing I'd ever heard about HPV was the commercials about the vaccine. I didn't know in depth what it was or what it could cause or what the risks were. I came to find that stuff out after that being diagnosed.
Okay. For me, I had no knowledge of HPV, and I did not have the cervical cancer screening before. And like Shay said, I was diagnosed in 1996, and nobody was talking about HPV. Nobody was talking about cervical cancer screening. So I'm definitely there with you with that one. Let's jump into life during cancer treatments. Life during cancer treatment. Okay. Wait a minute. Somebody is missing here. And sorry. Give me 1 second. Okay. I want to ask Shay. Life during cancer treatment. What was that like? You had to breathe first, right?
Yes. Life for me during cancer treatment was, if I want to say horrible, just mentally it's bad on you. And for me, the good thing though is that I had an excellent care team, and the American Cancer Society gave me a place to live and stay with free room and board during my cancer treatment time, because the facility was too far from my home. And that was wonderful. And I learned then that family is so important, and family circled around me. And that was really important. It's really important to be able to have people to support you during any kind of cancer. For cervical cancer the most, because I think all of my friends kind of shied away from me during that time.
That's true. The same way too. How about you?
Treatment for me was a little different because I didn't have chemo and radiation. My journey has been of surgeries. I had a partial hysterectomy in 2015, and I've had another 6 exploratory laparotomies since. It's been hard on my body.
Yeah. Okay. And sorry, lost my chain of thought when you shared. Thank you for sharing that. What word of advice would you give to
I'm sorry, Travis.
I was getting
Yeah, is it possible for me to say what it was like for me watching my grandmother through her cancer treatment?
I was just getting ready to ask you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I actually didn't live. I lived in Ohio when she was going through most of her treatment. But I mean, living in New York, you're taking the train, you're taking the bus. My grandmother almost was 2-3 miles a day, sprinting, and even to her, she would take the train. In the beginning, she would take the train to her cancer, to her chemo, and I would see her. She would be walking down the street, walking back, and she had this long hair, and it just kept getting shorter. She just kept cutting it, cutting it, cutting it, and it took them a while to realize it was actually cervical cancer. First they said fibroids, and they said this. It was a lot of bleeding. So it took almost a year before they were actually like, okay, it's cervical cancer. You're stage 3. Then it's like, okay, chemo. Okay, it's just being bombarded with all of this information, and nobody knows nothing. So of course we're trusting the doctors. And then just watching her on the last stages of when she can talk to me, and then she could no longer speak to me, like that was, I mean, it was really hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard. It's treatment for me was horrible. I'm just gonna let y'all know that. I thought pregnancy was bad and the pain from that was bad after 5 kids, but chemo and radiation going through cancer was way worse than having 10 babies. Okay, and that's just my opinion. That's my opinion about it. Okay.
I agree.
I want to ask Andrea something though. Andrea, how about the patients that are in treatment at Columbia? How do you notice when they come in? What does it look like when they're coming into treatment or come leaving from treatment?
They are unwell, right? Naturally, because chemotherapy is very, very hard on the body. I think it's very individual. I've seen people that just psychologically get very, very down and stressed by it. And other people who come in is like, I am here, I'm gonna kill this, I'm gonna win, and we are good. And they're like the cheerleaders of the entire infusion suite.
Mhm.
So I've kind of seen everything, like every type of person. Of course, the attitude helps. I've seen better health outcomes than anybody that I've worked with that has. It's not easy to have the positive attitude. There are a lot of other things in life that could also bring us down. But the ones that come in and say with that really strong fighting spirit that won't um get or let themselves feel defeated are the ones that have the better health outcomes in the end from what I've seen. And this is I'm not a doctor, I'm just saying what I've observed anecdotally, but it is very hard on people. It's harder on some people than others also.
That's true. Thank you for sharing that, Andrea. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
Let's see. A word of advice that you would give newly diagnosed patients. What is that word of advice? Shay.
I would say join lots of cervical cancer groups. We help each other, and a lot of advice is given because you really don't know. And the chemo radiation is actually like having a monster inside of you. Your whole body is taking over. So it's not just the cervix, it's your whole body. And to have somebody there for you at the time, I didn't have social media, but there was an internet group that was called Team Inspire. And I used to get on and speak with those. Do you remember that, Travis? I used to speak to those young ladies, and they helped me, because other people really didn't understand. They would want to understand, and they didn't understand the tears. They didn't understand the being cold. They didn't understand being hungry, but you couldn't eat. So I would say, please get involved with some other people that can understand how you're feeling and to know that it does get better.
Oh, yes, definitely. I remember Inspire. Oh my goodness. Wow. I haven't heard that in a long while. Alyssa, what advice would you give to new caregivers for newly diagnosed patients?
Caregivers, your your mental health matters too.
Mhm.
And not taking everything on your shoulders is important. because you still have to kind of, now imagine, you have to take care of this person, but then you also have to take care of yourself. You more than likely still have a job. So it's like, sometimes it's important that when things get overwhelming to walk away, to go for a break, go for a run. Yeah, just mental health and yeah, other care, cancer care, groups and programs are essential too, because just like I'm never going to understand that side, I feel like cancer survivors may not understand the part of the cancer caregivers, and kind of the toll that might take on them, because you love, like I loved my grandma. I never wanted to lose her. She was 64. So it's just like, yeah,
Yeah,
having supports is essential, and taking time for yourself is essential too.
thank you. That's so true. It was completely different when my daughter got cancer. It was completely different from me having it. Yeah, that's a whole nother different issue when it's someone you love going through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. As a NCC chapter leader, what are you doing to educate your community about HPV and cervical cancer?
So my main project every year is calendars that have links and stuff that direct people to the website for NCCC. But the bulk of my work is mostly one-on-one with women, helping them find doctors who take their insurance, helping them find people who have availability. I've given rides, just even if it's one-on-one, talk about, et cetera, what to expect, questions that they should be going over with their doctors, because sometimes you get there and you're so panicked that you don't know what to ask, and you leave with, a question mark over your head. So I try to help women just be more prepared for their appointments.
Thank you. And how about you, Shay? What is your chapter doing over there where you are?
Well, I do twice a month Teal meetings, Teal Tuesday meetings, and we sit and we talk with caregivers as well as cervical cancer survivors and ladies with cervical cancer. The other thing that we do is we have a play date for children once a month. And well, that was actually pre-COVID, once a month at a restaurant. And when the children come and they're playing, we're getting to speak with the parents about cervical cancer, giving them information on cervical cancer and what they can do for it. And then I am heavily on social media trying to get it out, because social media, as we know, is where it's at. So I'm definitely on there trying to get families to get their family vaccinated, yes, and tested.
Okay. Thank you. Alyssa, what was your grandmother's life like after having treatments?
So before treatment, she was in her garden. She was walking, she was cooking, she had, oh my God, maybe 12 grandkids that she was very much in their lives. Me and my sisters were 4. Then I had my aunt that lived across the street, and my other aunt that lived like down the block. So she picked me up from school every day. Like I said, she was a walker. We didn't have a car. After that, after she was diagnosed, she was sick all the time. And grandma doesn't get sick. She eats from her garden, she walks, so she was sick. She was sick and she was tired and she didn't want to eat. And she was stressed out a lot because she couldn't do the things that she wanted to do. And then when it came to her having to be in the hospital, that was really hard on her for someone that was very active, extremely active. So yeah, it took a toll on her and it took a toll on us. Because you don't really realize how important she was to our life when she just had to sit down. 'Cause she never sat down. And I don't think I ever saw my grandmother sit down. I think she used to adore these Chinese soap operas, and she would sit there and she would read the subtitles. But that was the only time she sat down. But other than that, she was always on the move. So it was the complete opposite after she was diagnosed.
Wow, bless her heart. Um, for myself, life before treatment, I was superwoman. Okay, I had the cape on. I could do 20 things at one time. Life after treatment, I'm not able to do those things the way I used to do it. So it's definitely changed. I mean, it might look, people looking in might see and be like, oh, you know, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, you're doing that. Okay. So what happens is that we learn how to do it differently. No, I'm not able to do what I used to do. I'm not able to run the way I used to run. It might look as if I'm out and about and everywhere, but I'm really not. You know, I had to do things differently, even get dressed differently. You know, life during treatment was wheelchair, and I was in a wheelchair for a while, you know, chronic pain. And, you know, I'm still going through chronic pain right now, but you learn what you need to do and how to do the things that you used to do a little bit different. You know, so life has definitely changed for me. I guarantee you that I did think if I had never gotten diagnosed with cancer, we would not be having this conversation. I would not know you women unless I came to your state. We would not be talking like this right now because cancer was over there. It wasn't over here. Okay. When I worked at the hospital doing nursing, cancer was at the hospital. It wasn't where I was. It was there until it came to my step. Then I knew that it was real because it was here with me. So life after, we're still going through life after. Speaking for myself, I am still going through life after treatment. What would you change in regards to the medical care and treatments that patients receive at the hospital? And that's for Andrea.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, ma'am. And I said it kind of fast, right? What would you change in regards to medical care or treatment that patients received at the hospital?
That's what I thought. I don't know that I would change treatment, right? Because patients all should be receiving the standard of care for their type of tumor and cancer. I think treatment, I'm a big believer in just like holistic health, right? I don't like to see patients come in, get their chemo, and then leave. I know some places and some hospitals will offer meditation therapy or offer a little bit of light yoga stretching or something like that as a benefit to go along with the treatment for those who can do that. Teaching them how to do deep breathing techniques, that type of thing, just to help them balance the stress of being sick, of being treated, of getting better, and everything in between. So if there's something that I would change, it would be that. I would change the research infrastructure in the United States so that we have more to see if we can make this better, right? So that if we can have more researchers working on different and better treatments, maybe treatments that wouldn't make people so sick. Better ways to detect, tests for men, right? A way that someone could go into their dentist's office and say, I have this lesion in my mouth. How quickly can you biopsy it to see if it is HPV or if it's just that I bit myself or I have an irritation in my mouth, right? Or in my throat. So there are definitely diagnostic things that I wish I had a magic wand that I could change. But the things that are feasible are those extra support services for women who are getting treatment, or even help for women who are newly diagnosed, because a new diagnosis can be quite catastrophic for a person and for their families, and somebody to help them navigate the questions and the stress. So it's two different things, right? They're going to be like, oh my God, but I don't even know what this is. I need education on it. And sometimes they don't always get it at the medical practice that they're attending, right? And they might go home and look it up on the internet and still not understand it. So more educators on site, and then more help for the individuals and families.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love that idea. Trying to reinforce that everywhere, please. Right from the very beginning, let's take care of this right from the beginning. I want to bring in and ask that question to we have our Charlotte navigator in the building as well too. So I definitely will have to say hi to our Charlotte navigator. Introduce yourself real quick, Catherine.
Hi.
Hi, Catherine.
And where you, Catherine, you're with Charlotte, North Carolina, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right now. Okay, so what would you change in regards to your medical care or treatment that you received for cancer? What would you change?
Well, I'm a holistic health practitioner. And when I was diagnosed, and that was in 2011, and it was an emergency situation where I almost bled to death before I got to the hospital, and they figured out what it was, and turned out it was a tumor a little over 10 centimeters that they think I'd had for 3 years. So I'm definitely for having pap tests every year, not every 3 years. And I think that I have had this conversation with some of you before about the importance of doing that. And a lot of my colleagues were not very happy that I was going to have traditional treatment, but I felt that it was extremely important in my particular case, just because it was a life-threatening thing. Like, I had to have it right then. And I kind of like you, Travis, my treatment was horrible. And I was so sick all the time. I could not function at all. I was in the hospital pretty much more than I was out of the hospital. I had 17 blood transfusions, internal radiation, external radiation, chemotherapy, but I was able to have a hysterectomy at the end and become completely cancer-free. And at that particular time, they were having a little bit of integrative healing that was incorporated in the treatment rooms. So when I went to my first chemo appointment, they had a little girl with a cart that had some aromatherapy and some other stuff. And I think I was kind of overexcited to see her and pretty much hogged her the whole entire time I was there. But, I think that the doctors that I had were so focused on one thing. They were focused on getting rid of the cancer. However, as holistic people, holistic beings that we are, there's a lot more to it than just what was going on down there. There was a lot going on up here, and I cried all the time. Okay. I'm a crybaby. And every time I'd go see my doctors, I'd be crying and crying and crying. And they would send me, go see the social worker. And they didn't know what to do with me either. So I think that including something in the treatment that addresses everything that's going on with you, because when you talk about women's cancers in particular, it's a mental thing as well. And I don't know how some of you feel or felt, but there's a loss of identity there when you have cancer that's affecting the female part of you, and especially if you have to have something removed. It's like, gee, I don't have any female parts anymore. Am I still a woman? And so I mean, that's crazy. I know that's crazy. But also having a big support system and hooking you up with support. I didn't talk to anybody that knew anything about what I was going through other than my doctors. And the team Inspire, yes, and I still actually get emails from them every day as well. But I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know where to go for support. And it wasn't until after I had recovered, probably months later, that I actually came upon any kind of support groups and the Cervical Cancer Coalition and, Facebook groups. I did not answer my phone for 6 months. I didn't look at computer. I didn't look at email. I didn't look at anything. People thought that I just dropped off the face of the earth, and so I think just having good support systems in place in the hospital, and really and I actually do a webinar on holistic treatments in cervical cancer, and particularly around whole food nutrition. And because I know that nutrition is a big part of not just treatment, but also afterwards. And so I kind of turn my whole practice more into working with cancer patients and survivors. So I think that making sure that survivors and, whether you're going through treatment or you're after treatment, really understand the power of how they're taking care of themselves and what they can do afterwards. And I know that our healthcare program here in Charlotte at the hospital where I was, they got really big into integrative healing. In fact, I sat in on a planning session that they had at the very beginning of that, and they're getting more into incorporating acupuncture, because I did have acupuncture when I was going through my treatment, and it helped me a lot. And so I think just having those kinds of things available, which our Levine Cancer Center here that I had my treatment through, they do those things, and they have yoga, and they have the classes on nutrition, and they do they have qigong, which is a great energy movement that is very powerful. So I think just using some alternative kinds of treatments is really important. And just I think too, as you guys were talking about at the beginning, I think that making sure that women understand that they need to be an advocate for themselves, because I had just actually had a conversation with a woman not too long ago, a few weeks ago, that was having some issues, and her doctor, and this is what really got me, her doctor would not listen to her.
Yes.
And she was having so much pain, and he just completely blew her off, like, well, I don't know what to tell you. It is what it is. That's exactly what he said to her. It is what it is. And she ended up going to another doctor, and it wasn't cervical cancer, but she did have some issues that required some treatment. But if she had just listened to that one doctor, who knows what would have happened? So women really need to understand, if you think there's something wrong, then you go and you get an answer. And if the first person doesn't give you an answer that you feel okay with, then you need to go to somebody else.
True.
And if they don't give you an answer, you go to somebody else.
Yeah.
So
we're going to talk about that. You know what? We'll have another discussion on advocacy. We'll bring it back.
That'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Catherine, for sharing that. You the best. And we're going to definitely talk about holistic care. I love that. Definitely love that approach as well. So let's go around, beautiful ladies. We're winding it down. Almost time for us to end. Y'all have been so amazing. I appreciate you. I'm going to start with Shay. Shay, can you please describe the woman you have become because of your cancer experience?
Like Catherine said, like you said too, I'm a different person. I too was a superwoman. I am a superwoman now, but it's a different superwoman. You know, maybe I think that I was maybe Wonder Woman before and I'm Phoenix now. I would say that.
I like that.
I'm different. I can't walk the same, you know, my feelings. I was depressed because I was young, and I never forget. My daughter was in fourth grade. She's 19 now, but she was in fourth grade when I was walking with a walker when I came out of rehab because I had to go through that. And I'll never forget, she didn't want me to come to her school. She didn't want me to pick her up. And I was so sad. You know, she wanted me to come home because I was out in the hospital in rehab for so long. But she wanted me to come home, but she didn't want anybody to know that her mom, her young mom, was sick. And I had to strive so hard. And I just kept thinking in my head, triumph, 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 triumph. That was my word. I had to get through being so sick, being so different, feeling different in my brain because I'm a new person, feeling different in my heart because I had to love differently, and feeling different down there because I remember somebody saying, "So you're hollow now?" Because after having chemo, radiation, internal radiation, then I had to have a hysterectomy. So now everything my thoughts was, why didn't you do that at the beginning? I already told you I was gonna have any more kids. Why didn't you do that at the beginning? Just take everything out and I would have been fine. But everything happens for a reason. I'm here now. I'm this wonderful advocate. Maybe that, well, one good thing I did get, I no longer have a menstrual period. So that's the menstrual cycle. So that was like the best thing
That's the
that could
gift.
have ever happened to me with cancer. So I brag to my friends all the time. I'm like, I had cancer, but look what you have.
What you got?
So
Right. You ain't right, Shay. You are not right at all. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. So tell us what type of woman, describe the woman that you are because of your cancer journey.
I think it weakened my body because the 9 surgeries do take a toll. My last one was just a little bit over a year ago, and I went from being a full-time chef, I was 31, to just doing catering whenever I can, and I had to put that on pause for a long time. So the woman I've become more empathetic. I've become more knowledgeable because I didn't know any of this stuff that I know now before in relation to cervical cancer and HPV. And it's made me want to advocate even harder. I lost a friend to cervical cancer. She had a recurrence a year ago, and that's pushed me. Even her cervical cancer had an effect on and how through the world.
Thank you.
And like she said, no more periods.
That's true. That's true. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. You're doing a great job too, by the way. Okay. How has your grandmother's experience, how has this changed the woman that you are?
Watching my grandmother go through what she went through and learning more about it, and honestly, it was more so about the people that I've met that I'm able to take with me forever. Because I don't think anyone knows that I actually had surgery on my ovaries. I had a 13-centimeter cyst on my ovary while I was 26 weeks pregnant with my daughter. So they literally had to take my uterus out with my growing child, take this cyst out, test it for cancer, and put my daughter back in, stitch me up. And so although I might not have experienced cancer, I experienced tremendous amounts of surgery. And just like Catherine was saying, advocating for your health, my doctor only wanted me to, he was just like, just take some pain medicine, surgery is too risky. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like that answer. And then I talked to someone else. They said it is risky, but I can do it. and I did it. And if I didn't do it, my ovary was rotting. I could have lost my life and my daughter's life. So but then through that, they were saying they were going to take both of my ovaries out, and it was just a lot of things that they told me about that I didn't that I already knew about because of the information and the people I've met through advocating for cervical cancer. So even like I had met a holistic health coach that was going to help me with because then I would have been in menopause, and I'm 30. So, and that happened when I was like 27. So it, just through the cervical cancer experience and then my experience, it all kind of just came together. And in some ways I felt like it was a blessing from my grandmother, because now I have my candle company that we make candles at cancer support communities. It's another like holistic thing that we do, because it's like you come there, yeah, you do your yoga, but then you learn how to make candles, and it's like because I'm very big on holistic, but yeah, I feel like that's how this experience has helped in a lot of ways.
Excellent. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. So y'all have been amazing. I appreciate you. And just real fast, one last question. Complete this sentence. All right. I am blank because, and it has to be related to what we were just talking to. That's just 2 words, two or 3 words. I am blank because, and I'm gonna ask Andrea.
That's hard. Oh my God. I am knowledgeable because I listen to all of you, and I can take your stories back to help other people.
Oh, I like that. I like that. You got a good answer there, girl. I can live with that one. Okay.
I work under pressure, Travis,
All right, Catherine. I am blank because.
I would say I am more focused and empowered today because of the cancer that I went through in 2011.
Okay. Great answer. That's it. Shay, I am blank because.
I'm stronger because of National Cervical Cancer Coalition, Charleston, South Carolina.
All right, now that's what I'm talking about. There we go. Moving it along. Yep. I am blank because.
Okay. I am a better advocate for others because I had to learn how to be an advocate for myself through my journey with cervical cancer.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, ladies. Okay. And I would answer, I am grateful, so grateful, because I was spared and God has blessed me to be here, to have been able to get through 3 times of cervical cancer while being pregnant twice. I am grateful, especially to be here with you, all of you wonderful ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all are the best. Thank you for helping me on Teal Tuesday and making this 2023 a very special Teal Tuesday and celebrating Cervical Cancer Awareness Month with me. Thank you. Love all of you. Y'all are the best. Hope we can get together again and do another discussion. And we definitely want to let everybody know, for more information, visit www.nccc-online.org. That's www.nccc-online.org. Until then, get screened, get your
Get
PAP.
screened.
Have your PAP. Love y'all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.